We're living in what feels like a massive paradox. If you look at the numbers, Western societies are richer, safer, better educated than ever.
And yet the political mood is just so angry, so polarized.
Exactly. We see things like Brexit, constant attacks on democratic institutions. Today we're going to do a deep dive into the book Cultural Backlash to try and find the real engine behind all this turmoil.
And the book's central argument really flips the script. For years, the focus has been on the economically left behind.
Right.
But the research here says that's not the whole story. The main driver is a cultural backlash, not just a financial one.
Okay, let's unpack that. A cultural backlash. What does that actually mean?
It all starts with what's called the silent revolution. Over decades, there's been this huge shift toward post-materialist values.
So things like gender equality, LGBTQ rights, multiculturalism becoming mainstream.
Precisely. And as those liberal norms took hold in our institutions' schools, the media, other groups started to feel that their moral world was, well, vanishing.
So the key question isn't who lost their job, but whose values are no longer dominant.
That's the crucial reframing. It's about a loss of cultural status.
And this is where the political strategy comes in. But first, the book makes a really important distinction between populism and authoritarianism. They aren't the same.
Not at all. Populism, at its core, is simple. It just frames politics as the good, virtuous people against a corrupt elite. That's it.
And authoritarianism.
That's a set of values. It's about wanting a tough, strong leader, law and order, and social conformity. The real danger is when these two things fuse together.
How so?
A leader can claim to speak for the people, that's the populism, and use that mandate to attack democratic checks and balances, like independent courts or the free press. That's the authoritarianism.
Let's make this real. Brexit seems like the perfect case study here.
It's a textbook example. The data is clear. The Leave coalition was older, less urban, and much more socially conservative, especially on issues like immigration and national identity.
But the immediate counter-argument is always about economics. People will say it was really about austerity and inequality. How does the book handle that?
Through its statistical models. And what they found is pretty stunning. While, yes, economic anxiety played a role, it wasn't the main driver.
Really?
The cultural factors, things like your views on immigration or your inherent authoritarian leanings, were far, far better predictors of a Leave vote than your income bracket.
So a slogan like "Take back control"
was genius. Because it wasn't just about trade deals, it perfectly fused that economic frustration with a much deeper desire to restore a sense of cultural order.
It's this strange paradox then, isn't it? The backlash is actually a result of liberal progress.
It is. Younger generations are more liberal, and they're pulling society and its institutions in that direction.
And that creates a tipping point.
Exactly. The more traditional groups feel they're losing their cultural centrality, that their country is becoming unrecognizable, and that triggers a sharp sense of status threat. The book's big warning is that this leads to a slow decay of democracy from within.
So the elections might continue, but the core principles of tolerance and minority rights slowly erode.
That's the danger.
So, given all this, what's the path forward for democratic resilience?
Well, the book concludes that we have to strengthen those checks and balances, protect the courts, protect the media, and we have to address grievances, both economic and cultural, but without scapegoating minorities.
That leaves us with a really provocative final thought.
It does. I'll leave you with this question to think about. If a clear majority of people votes for a leader who then actively undermines independent courts and attacks the rights of unpopular minorities, is that still a democracy? Or does democracy need something more than just a majority vote to survive?